morning from New Zealand and welcome to the 2017 World Junior Squash Championships. You're joining us live here from the Queen Elizabeth Youth Centre in this year's host city of Tauranga in New Zealand's stunning Bay of Plenty region. Well, it's been a great event so far. All of the players, coaches and officials absolutely loving the time here in New Zealand. But today we're reaching the business end of this individual event, and we see the last 16 stage being played in both the junior men's and women's events. It's been business as usual really for the majority of the top seeds. We've only got two non-seeded players here in today's last 16 round, one in each event. In the junior men's, Colombia's Matthew Knudsen has had a fantastic couple of days where he's taken out a couple of seeds. Came through a huge match yesterday to find himself in the last 16 stage today. He's going to be taking on Mohammed Al-Sarraj from Jordan, the number 2 seed, later on today. And in the junior women's event, Jana Shihar of Egypt took out a high seeded player yesterday, and she's going to find herself up against another Egyptian player, Rowan Rida Arabi, 3-4 seed, and again that's going to be slightly later on today. Well, I'm Paul Hornsby, and I'm going to be joined by various guest commentators through the remainder of the individual event over the next 4 days. And for this opening session today, I'm joined by a man with a huge amount of international coaching experience at both junior and senior level, and he's a fellow former New Zealand national coach, Dave Clark. Good morning, Clarky.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's really great to be here as part of the live stream service here from Tauranga today, and really proud to be a part of the event in my home city here in New Zealand. So we've seen some great matches so far in the event early on, and I'm really hoping to see some fantastic squash as we go through the rounds today.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a France versus Malaysia affair to start us off today. Victor Crouin of France is the 3-4 seed coming into this event. He's actually the number 2 in the world's squash. Of course means he's the number 1 French player. So he did play in Poland last year. He actually reached the same stage last year, so I'm sure he's looking to go at least one better than that today. And really push on, and he's up against Malaysia's Darren Rahul Pragasam, who's a 13-16 seed, so certainly the underdog today. Number 2 in Malaysia in the rankings, and last year in Poland he did play the event but only reached the first round, so big test for him today. So how do you see this one going, Dave?
I think this will be an interesting one. Darren, I think, has improved quite significantly since his last World Junior. So I think when he was first round there, and obviously he's into the last 16 now. But watching Victor play on this glass court a couple of days ago, he looked really strong, he looked really sharp, and I think he'll be very difficult to beat today.
Yeah. Well, coming into this as the number 3-4 seed, I think he's he's got a good amount of experience behind him there, and I'm sure based in France, and he'll have a lot of top world-class senior and junior players to train with, and I'm sure he'll be coming into this fully mentally prepared and looking to send out a message, I guess, to the rest of the top seeds. But his opponent today, nothing to lose. You'd expect him to come out all guns blazing and try to make life as hard as possible for the Frenchman.
Yes, I think we know the Malaysian players are always well prepared, and they're always going to make things as difficult as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Two very strong nations in the history of squash here. So this is the next generation. So we're looking to see some entertaining stuff here.
Hand out, 1 all.
Well, we know that we've got a huge amount of people tuned in from across the world over the last couple of days, Dave, which is fantastic, and I'm sure that will be people up late at night in France tuned into this, looking to watch the #1 junior player in action.
That's right. I know there's a few Kiwis around at university today or at work, and they've got their headphones on and not doing as much work as they probably should be because they want to watch some of these great matches.
Hand out, 2-1.
It's a fairly fast and furious start so far. Both players looking at taking the ball in short and whipping the ball around the angles right from the outset.
Yeah, a couple of uncharacteristic errors from Victor early in this match.
Just couldn't quite get that one off the side wall there, could he? Nice tight drop shot from the Malaysian. Dave, that in this first few opening exchanges there's maybe a few nerves in there. I've seen quite a few balls down the middle of the court.
Yes, it's been a slightly unusual start, but I can understand these guys will be a little nervous early on, but I'm sure they'll seem to settle into their rhythm and get back to top performance.
Stroke.
Hand out, 4-3.
Again, a lot of traffic down the middle of the court, but it's the Malaysian who's getting the better of this opening exchange. Great start from him. Sure is the coach who's looking after the Malaysian players once again this year is Andrew Cross. He'll be a busy man today. There's plenty of Malaysian interest in both the men's and women's event in the last 16 today. So you can see him there in his red hoodie, trying to keep warm by the looks of things.
Darren's held his own really well at the start of this match, and Victor has looked maybe a little bit nervous. It might bode well for competitors of this match as we go through.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, isn't it, Dave, how you know the different sort of pressures and weight of expectations coming into a match like this. You've got Victor Crouin here, who's obviously 3-4 seed coming into this event, and I'm sure he'll want to go even better than that. So he'll want to get this job done fairly clinically, and but you know, he's up against a player who's got nothing to lose and a free shot. So if he can make life tough for him from the start, it's interesting where that could lead to. But does appear that the Frenchman settled a little bit here, and he's working his way back into this, and now he finds himself in the lead.
Straight to Crouin, 7
So I think there's could be an element of nerves in there.
Almost sense that Victor's come back a little bit. Almost sense that Darren is just feeling that push from Victor, and he's made a couple of errors himself in a couple of last rounds.
Yeah, just gave him too much time there at the front of the court. Backward boast really sitting up, and that'll really settle the Frenchman into this. Looking to dominate that short line into the Frenchman, which is a bit of a characteristic of French players really over the years. If you think back to the likes of Thierry Lincou and obviously Gregory Gaultier, phenomenal lateral movers, and really look to dominate that area of the court.
I think Victor's had a little bit of joy in this front backhand corner himself. It's been a bit cool here, or cooler than normal in Tauranga, but this time, even though it's winter, it's temperatures are probably as cool as I've known them in the last 10 years here. That backhand front corner has really been taking a shot all day.
Well, that was a great turnaround there from the Frenchman, Victor Crouin, who's he was 6-3 down at what felt like a few seconds ago, and he's turned that round and not lost another point. So, first blood to the Frenchman. Well, that was a bit of a seesaw affair, wasn't it, Dave? The first game, really sensed that the Frenchman settled as he went through the game. Really, it was a pretty poor start. Gave away a couple of strokes and a couple of unforced errors, but as I mentioned at the end of the game there, from 6-3 down, he seemed to win 8 straight points in what felt like 60 seconds. So I'm sure he's going to look to kick on and continue that in this second game.
Yeah, I think he worked his way back into that first game really quite well, and then obviously dominated those later stages.
Yeah, just tied it up, didn't he? Just tied it up and got himself in front, and his presence felt across the mid-area of the court, and that's where any level of squash is such an important part of the court, and that short line and back of the service box area. If you're in control there, then you're going to be making your opponent's life very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think where it's been a bit cool this week, it's super important to get that very full length early in the rally, which is going to help set up those volley opportunities. And the players that have been able to do that this week have been the ones that have been dominating.
Absolutely.
Is set double.
Yeah, he was in control of that rally, wasn't he? Pragasam. Really using all corners of the court to keep the pressure on.
He just played that nice straight push down the backhand that gave him the opportunity to drop and backhand, and then again on the forehand to win the point.
Is set 1-love.
Yeah, that's a well-taken volley drop there. Ball very loose down the middle of the court. To improvise a little bit, came at his body, but really took it in very clinically. Here from the Frenchman. Very proactive rally from him. Massive contrast to the first few rallies of the first game, Dave.
Yes, you starting to see the rallies being extended a little now.
Yeah.
I think they've been fighting to find their length a little bit early on because of the coolness of the court. I think Darren probably not used to playing in these conditions here. I'm not sure what the temperature is, but I've got 3 layers on myself, so I'm sure Darren's finding it pretty chilly. But yeah, now they're starting to find their length a little bit more, and rallies are being extended.
Yeah, a lot more structure, a lot more intent in what they're doing, and finding the quality areas of the court to turn into a good match. Oh, that's a fantastic finish.
Yeah, that's a great shot. It's using that volley boast to good effect to pull Darren forward. And a great finish.
There's a bit of frustration there from the Malaysian. He's feeling the pressure and the pace that Crouin's applying here. Again, there's that volley boast that you're talking about there, Dave. It's not a massively used shot, is it? But I mean, you've got a number of elements of pressure coming there, haven't you? You've got your opponent on the short line, taking time away from you, and it's probably one of the last things that you're going to expect him to do is to play that volley boast. Especially if you've got a player like Victor Crouin here, who's using this straight volley drop shot so effectively. You know, when you're under that pressure and you've had your time taken away from you, it's a difficult shot to have covered. Quite awkward, especially if the Frenchman's playing that shot. He's getting a good angle on it, which is fading away into the other side wall. So, clever shot.
Yeah, as you say, not used a lot generally, the volley boast, not encouraged a lot, but I think in the court conditions today, that coolness, that volley boast is much more effective than in those hot conditions.
fantastic. Oh, that's down. Seen a lot of height being used in this in that last rally as well, though, which is always good to see. On a cold court, or if you don't have that confidence in getting the ball through, the lob can be such a highly effective shot, can't it?
Yes, and I think massively underutilised, particularly in the junior ranks. It's probably one of the less kind of sexy shots, but it's certainly effective for defending and turning defence into attack.
Sounds as though he's suggesting that his opponent asked for a let in the middle of that rally.
Stop the rally when going ahead. I did not hear anything.
Judging by the Frenchman's body language, he looks as confused as anybody by this.
I have not heard anything. You cannot stop the rally when going. 8-3.
Well, it's one-way traffic, really, Clarkie. This it seems after the early stages of that first game, the Frenchman was really sort of settled more and more, found more and more accuracy. He's looking pretty good on there, I have to say.
Yeah, I think from 6-3 down there to win that game and then 8-3 up, he's certainly dominated. Darren's finding it hard at the moment to find a way to put a string of points together.
Yeah, those few early errors and loose balls from the Frenchman have vanished now, and it's pure pressure, really.
No lead, 5-8.
Slight momentum shift here. Pragasam getting a couple of points on the board, so he's still in touch in this game at 5-8. Big rallies really now for him. It's just too tight.
And down, 9-5.
Darren, a couple of times there, he's had a few opportunities to go in short on the front at the front there, and well, probably hasn't taken those. He's hit a couple back when he's had the opportunity to attack Victor. And the court's really taken a shot. So.
Yeah, and there's a sign there. Straight backhand drive coming off the side wall and giving away a stroke. That's got to be an enforced error, really. Perhaps a sign of a bit of tension in his body.
Yes, left, team 5, game 4.
There we go, that's the one, that straight forehand drop. He's had that a few times. Great to see him put it in there.
Another great finish there from the Frenchman, and it's really, apart from a few small exchanges there towards the latter end of the game, it's all France at the moment. He's looking more and more comfortable on the court, and as you saw him finish that game there with that straight backhand volley drop, he's really dominating the middle of the court and finds himself 2 up.
The perfect wave. I'm still looking for it. I got to the stage where I wanted a custom board. Not something off the rack. One designed for me, how I surf, what I'm trying to do. So I went to see a shaper. He gets to know you, what works, what doesn't. He'll know what refinements to make to get the best results. It's an ongoing discussion. It's the same with money. After a while, you start to earn a little bit more, and that's when you need some expert help to figure out what to do with it. So I talked to an investment partner. They're like money shapers, if you like. They can shape an investment package designed just for me. We talk it through, look at the options, we agree on a direction, and they do the rest. Which leaves me free to keep an eye on the horizon, looking for that perfect wave.
Well, Dave, it's been pretty one-way traffic really up until this stage. Although it would be dangerous for the Frenchman to think he's going to be plain sailing from here, as we saw yesterday. A couple of big turnarounds, and actually one of them was from a Malaysian player, wasn't it?
Yes.
First match yesterday, and it was something similar to this, and then slowly but surely turned the match around. But you know, this Frenchman's got a lot of experience under his belt, and I'd be very surprised if he took his foot off the gas. And we're looking for something pretty special from Darren Pragasam here to turn this around, but I'm sure he's not going to keep pushing himself.
Yeah, I think Darren's got to get Victor off the tee. He's been dominating across the line for the last sort of game and a half, and I think he's got to really get that ball much fuller and get it past that volley to give himself a chance to get in front.
I mean, this is a great rally from the Frenchman, but perhaps not a great shot choice there with the straight drop, but until that point it was pure accuracy and pressure. It's going to be a stroke. Yeah, a huge amount of pressure on Pragasam there in that rally.
Yeah, and there goes that volley post again. I think that's about the 4th or 5th time we've seen that in use.
That's a poor error from that position.
Three love.
Really starting to run away with this now, and he'll be in his eye on getting this job finished as quickly and as clinically as possible, Clarkey. I mean, at this stage of a tournament like this, day by day, things are going to get tougher and more intense, and if he can get off in 3 here, he'll be very, very satisfied with that, and especially with the way for me his performance here is. Just got better and better as the match has gone on.
Yeah, I think if you can just see this game out here, I think you'll be really happy. It's first match on today, so you know, the early start, but that means he's going to get a very long rest.
Yeah, massive rest.
So and as we know, this World Junior event, conservation of energy and strength is absolutely critical to the end result.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think. The message I always give to the players I work with is in the early stages of a tournament, you cannot afford to go through the motions really, because not only, as you say, you end up spending unnecessary time on court, you're also left with that feeling of looking slightly dissatisfied with yourself in terms of how you've performed, but
yeah, I think
this today.
I think we saw a little bit of that in one of the ladies' games yesterday with I think it was Nada Abbas who just went to sleep for a moment there and suddenly found herself 2-1 down, but then had to get herself back together to come back and win in 5.
Yeah, that's right. And I was sat watching that match, and her body language and facial expression as she came off the court having won was certainly not one of a happy person. So, but sometimes that can give you a bit of a a bit of a kick up the backside.
Yes, sir.
Is it 8 love?
Things looking pretty grim now for the Malaysian. I'm sure he'll be just wanting to get a point on the board here. Nobody likes to get the proverbial bagel. He'll be looking for something at least. That's not going to help him.
9 love. Love, next ball.
Well, I don't think the Frenchman could have hoped for anything better, really, Dave, out of this game. And there it is. Fantastic performance from Victor Crouin. Just got better and better as the match went on, applied more and more pressure, looked more and more comfortable in that middle area of the court, and finished with an 11-6, 11-6, 11-6 victory to secure his place in the quarter-final stages, and to have done it in such quick and efficient, proactive style. He'll be delighted with that, and will be looking to focus on preparation for his next match. Thank you, Dave. Any thoughts on that match?
I think Victor, as it went on, he looked more and more impressive as the match went on. He dominated the short line there, and Darren was really struggling to get it past him, and Victor was finishing well, making good use of the court conditions to put his volley drops in and use that volley post well as well.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
He looked pretty impressive as that wore on.
Superb. Well, we will be back for the next match, which is an Egypt versus Hong Kong affair, which is Yusri against Lam. So join us in 5 minutes for that next match.